All right, so now let's move on to our top 5 of the week. Again, we've done it, I think, 8 out of the 11 weeks we've done this podcast. It's going to be a theme top 5. At first, we tried to do...
I would argue everything's been a theme.
Well, at first, we tried to do, like, specific UFC, but then we kind of got on this train, which I like, of wherever the location, we try to do a theme based off of that.
I've never been on a train.
Especially when it's a unique location like this. UFC Paris, so it's France. Only the second time the UFC's ever fought in Paris.
And the second time in
France.
2 years.
Yeah. Well, they just legalized it like last year. That's why the first fight was last year, first card, and this is the second fight, which is crazy.
So you mean to tell me...
The other guys, they had to like they had to go to like boxing gyms and then like train MMA almost illegally.
Oh
MMA was
God.
illegal in France until like 4 years ago.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, especially since they have so many talented guys on the roster. Like we just went over pretty much every French fighter.
So I'd have to guess that UFC would not make this week's top 5.
Yeah, UFC's not making this week's top 5. But this week's top 5 is
Dun, 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 dun.
top 5 French things. So much like we did with the Boston, this is just general. We're taking it very liberal. So any kind of noun can be French, can have French in it, can just be related to French as long as you make a compelling argument. So top 5 French things. I think this will be fun.
Can
Go
we
ahead.
start with our honorable mention? Or no, do we start with honorable mentions or
No,
end?
you end with honorable mentions.
All right, I'm a moron. Sorry.
Or I think you do honorable mentions before you do number 1. Is generally how it goes.
Okay.
But anyway,
Sure.
your number 5, top 5 French things. Let's hear it.
My number 5, or my 5th top French thing would be the Statue of Liberty.
Ooh.
Best gift from the French to, in my opinion, the best country. They gave us the Statue of Liberty, so in my opinion, it has to be one of the best French things because we have it.
You make a compelling argument.
They also, one of the most famous French paintings is actually about the Statue of Liberty as well, from an artist,
I mean, it's
you know.
definitely like top 1 or 2.
I mean, it's up there with the Eiffel Tower
But it's like
for monuments.
For worldwide monuments in America, it's definitely like 1 or 2
They also have a miniature Statue of Liberty
in Las Vegas.
in France.
Oh, in France too?
Yeah, it's like a replica of the one they gifted us.
That's a good number 5.
What you got for number 5?
So my number 5, I'm going to sports themed. This is probably the best soccer player, footballer in the world right now. I'm going Kylian Mbappe.
I've heard of Mbappe.
You've heard of Mbappe. He had a hat trick in the World Cup final against Messi, but
Hat trick's that's three goals.
3 goals. So he had 3 goals in the World Cup final, which is crazy.
In bowling, they call that a turkey.
In bowling, they do call it a turkey. And he lost. But he had
Wait, he had a hat trick and they lost?
and they lost to Messi in Argentina.
Do you act like I remember? I don't pay attention to the soccers.
I mean, that's like the one you definitely saw that.
I
We've talked
remember,
about it.
yeah, I remember seeing it, but I didn't know Mbappe was on that team. Cool. All right.
But yeah, Mbappe, he won the World Cup 4 years before with France in 2018. He's still only like 25 years old. He's one of the best soccer players in the world. He's French. So my number 5, Kylian Mbappe. I know you don't have a lot to add to that. No offense.
I've heard of him. He's cool.
He is cool. You have heard of him.
Soccer player. Like, listen, for me to have heard of him, I've heard of like Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe. I saw Harry Kane on a TV show, so it was
Harry
like
Kane. I like Harry Kane.
I got like
He left
five.
Tottenham.
I got like 5 people in my soccer roster.
Hey,
But
as a
I'm growing.
American soccer ambassador, I'm happy for the progress.
Right.
Let's
so,
hear your number 4.
My number 4 is a 2007 film, arguably one of the best Pixar films.
Oh no!
Did I get you?
I think you got me.
The movie Ratatouille.
I do have that on my list.
Nice. So that movie slaps on so many levels. It's about a mouse who can cook. He gets
I know he's a mouse, but I like to refer to him as a rat.
Right. He's a rat that can cook.
It sounds way bad when you say it's a rat cooking in Paris.
Long
Makes
story.
a little too much sense.
Heartwarming. The rat can cook. He gets under the trust of a chef who helps him cook. It's a weird story, but it's just heartwarming. It's a very good story. You watch it. It's a heartfelt movie. It was before, everything had to have so many ulterior motives. It was just a good story.
It's a great story. One of the best Pixar movies. As you said, it's kind of one of the last like real great, at least like those animated movies that are meant for kids and adults.
Right.
That didn't have any kind of like message behind it. It was just a good heartfelt movie. I love that movie. I have it later on the list. I don't have it at number 4 though.
What do you have for number 4?
So my number 4, I think everybody will appreciate this. Both men and women.
Uh-oh.
Gay and straight.
Uh-oh.
It's a good old French kiss.
Uh-oh. That's the Germanest thing I'm going to hear today.
I think a French kiss, that's how you know, like...
Sorry, that's the most Germanic thing I'm going to hear today.
If you have a regular kiss with somebody, it doesn't mean anything. You could kiss your friend as a joke, and, like, regular kiss doesn't mean anything.
Get away from me.
Come here.
But
yeah. Right when you do a French kiss with somebody...
It gets serious.
Whether it's, like, you're trying to have a relationship with them or anything, that's when it's maybe not serious...
Well, the moment is serious. It
moment is
definitely ain't no
serious.
plaything no more.
The moment is serious, and it's definitely a corner turned.
Yeah, look, I will say that is a way better pick than French fry or like French onion soup.
So both of those on my honorable mentions.
So if any non-French thing is going to make the list, I can appreciate French kiss making the list over one of the other low-hanging fruit, if you will, type of French, non-French things.
So I'm going to jump ahead of you at number 3 just because we just talked about it. My number 3 is Ratatouille.
Great
Get that
movie.
out of the way. We just talked about it.
Pixar movie. Great
Pixar
movie.
movie. Love it. What's your number 3?
So my number 3 here, this is just what I'm going to call it, but it's more for what French people as a whole stand for. I'm going to call it the Paris Retirement Revolt. So they just changed the retirement age from like 62 to 64. It's not a big deal in my mind.
It is a big deal, though. 2 years of your life.
Right, but obviously for the French people, it's a big deal as well because they had a huge revolt. So what I'm saying is my number 3 is going to be the Paris Retirement Revolt, but in the sense of the people are standing up to the government to say, listen, that's not what we sign up for. That's not what we agreed upon. We're taking a stand, kind of drawing our line in the sand, if you will.
No, I very much like that pick. It is a kind of the people drawing their line in the sand, taking a stand against the government, which, as long as it doesn't get too crazy, I'm all for.
Right, absolutely.
But yeah, it kind of goes against the... not goes against, but it's almost like a trait that Americans would attribute to themselves.
Right, but France in this case,
But France is doing it. So it makes you kind of open your mind worldwide where it's like, maybe it's not just Americans that are...
right, they're collectively patriotic in their own right. They're collectively
Exactly.
taking their own stand in their own right. And, that's
admirable.
Right, that's an admirable feature.
That's a good number 3.
What you got for number 2?
So my number 2, this is kind of a broad one. I'm going the French language.
It's romantic.
I think it's the romantic language. If you just listen just based off a sound and you don't know anything, like you can't understand any language,
Right.
I think French is probably one of the best sounding languages. As you said, romantic. It just flows. It's like they're talking in cursive.
It's pretty crazy. And honestly, so I took French 1 year in middle school and 2 years in high school because I was hard-headed and didn't want to learn Spanish for
I
whatever
did the
reason.
same thing. I did all of high school, though.
And honestly, from what I can remember, I've tried to learn Spanish since. I've tried to learn,
It's very similar to, like,
Chinese
Spanish.
or Mandarin since. And I'll have to say French was the easiest I've ever attempted to learn.
Well, I think it's very similar to learning Italian or Spanish, like structure and everything.
Right. Once you pick it up, a lot of it flows together.
But
I'd
yeah,
agree.
it's just a beautiful language. So my number 2's the French language. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is something that is most common in France as a former military standpoint from anywhere anywhere else in the world. It's going to be castles.
I like it.
France has the most castles compared to anywhere else.
I believe they call them
chateaus.
chateaus.
Right. There are 45,000 castles or chateaus in France, and most of them, if not all of them, at some point were military strongholds meant for defending their position or their area. The cool thing about that, so with 45,000 castles, there's just over 35,000 communities. So there's over one castle per community.
Well, you got to think
in France.
There's been civilizations in France for so long that those have been around since probably the medieval times.
Right.
And that was before France was even a thing. So it was just like cities on their own. So it was like whoever had the castle, they were in charge and they were the leader.
Exactly.
However far they could control the land.
So thinking about that, it gives you those medieval, those Game of Thrones.
It's very cool.
Those Conquer.
Very
those,
historic.
If you're a PC gamer, those Civilization vibes.
Age of Empires.
Right. All those type of vibes. Castles are great. You know, as
very,
kids,
very cool.
Kids, I always wanted to build castles.
I feel like castles are a thing. When you're a kid, your interest is super high. Teenager, very low. As I get older as a man, castles
Very
are cool
high.
as fuck.
Right. So castles number 2. What you got?
So my number one French thing, I'm going the athlete route again. I'm going the soccer player, footballer again.
Oh no.
He's the best French player of all time, I believe. He's the best Arsenal player of all time, which is really why I picked him in this. Thierry Henry. I mean, if you watch him play his highlights, he'll make you fall in love with football. Just a great player. He's a great guy. He's on TV now. He's funny. He's suave. He's French. He's just the man. So Thierry Henry, my number one, my favorite Frenchman. He's a cool ass dude. Good looking dude, no homo. He's a great player.
Wow, dude, that's crazy. So yeah, I've actually heard of this guy too. 46 years old, 6'2". Played for Arsenal.
He's very well. He played in MLS for a little while.
Yeah. He was with the New York Red Bulls, right?
Yeah, New York Red Bulls.
Yeah, I am not looking on Wikipedia to find out anything about this guy at all.
You've heard of Thierry Henry.
I'm looking at a picture of him right now on Wikipedia. I've never seen this guy in my life.
There's no way. I sent you. They have the TNT NBA show of soccer, and I sent you.
Yeah, maybe
in
in that context I've seen it, but dude, never.
Dude, he's literally one of the most famous, one of the best footballers.
Can you do me a favor though? Can you say his name right?
Thierry Henry.
No. Can you say Thierry Henry? Can you say it right?
No, because that's not his name.
Okay, just
Henry
checking.
is definitely how you say his last name.
Happy late birthday, August 17th. I just turned 46. To a guy, Thierry Henry. Sorry if I got it wrong. Yeah, good number one. I never heard of him.
He's mocking us, by the way. What's your number one, asshole?
The guillotine.
Of course.
It's the, top executioner weapon. It's the epitome of the fucking fuck around and find out machine, if you will. There have been kings executed on it. There have been queens executed on it. All the way down to peasants. It is the epitome, and I'll say it again, it is the epitome of the fuck around and find out machine. It is the unbeaten. Even a dull blade will take the head off. And I'm not talking about the MMA move. I'm talking about the medieval weapon to behead people.
Well, you didn't even say the best French version of
The
them
guillotine.
using
You can talk.
French Revolution.
Speak.
King Louis.
Yeah, speak. When his eyes were, he blinked like 14 times or something.
That's
ridiculous.
the best.
That's the creepiest thing I ever heard when I was in school.
It is. Guillotine, very French. Pretty much, I don't even know if they invented it, but because of that.
I looked it up. It said they invented it. It's kind of all hard with old history because people claim things.
Yeah.
And they just kill everybody
it's
who
French
says
name.
other than they say. So
French name, used in a big French, like the French Revolution, probably one of the most famous French things of all time.
Yeah, it's actually the dawn of the term "off with his head."
Yeah.
So
I could see why that is the case.
you know, in my opinion, it is not the most like inherently French thing, but in my opinion, it is the top French thing.
So there you go. There are each of our top 5 favorite French things. Let us know what you think in the comments. Send us DMs if you want to. Just let us know.